continuing on your journey to build things, I consider you that type of founder that, aside from being inevitable, that a very product centric founder that builds and ships quite a lot with tons of creativity. You have that extra level of like product sophistication that kind of resembles art in a way. And then basically, you then started doing an app that was just doing custom notifications for Craigslist, or were you already in the US? Like, what was the jump there, basically? And when you came to the US, you guys came straight to California, right?
Yeah. So what happened was that in Italy, I had I could have lived my entire life in Italy, but I would have this. I don't know what it was, but at night I'll be like so pissed that I was not learning enough. I'll be like pissed with myself as like, wow, I'm not learning. I'm not doing like anything I always want to be constantly learning, especially like product and engineering. So I think that's something that I want, even on any car, to everybody who works with us, like to be constantly learning. And I think if we create that culture, that's the best. Like, doesn't matter. Like, I think that's really important. So then I was every night I'll be in Italy, I'll be frustrated. So like from 7 p.m. to like midnight, I'll be like trying to learn new things on my own. So I had this boss called Simona, and she was super nice of us. Like, imagine like the best boss you can ever have. And she knew like I love to learn, and she knew like that like learning is very important for me. So we moved to the US, and before Android was released, this company that the Italian company acquired, they were building like imagine like Google Play for Motorola, I think it was at the time.
I used to work for a company called Nimbus before the iPhone came out, and we were the #1 app on the Ovi store, the Nokia's app store. That's how old we are, bro.
Yeah. So that was before Android was even released. Like we were like they got this really good teacher to do again 1 week boot camp. And my boss was like, okay, Rafa should do this boot camp too, right? And then she just did it because I was not in the project. She just knew that I love to learn. And then so it was my first week in America. In the first week in America, I started this boot camp that during the 1 week boot camp, I built this app, which was just to learn everything about Android. So Android, one of the things about Android that's really cool is the internal notification system that they have. Like you can spin up every like 5 seconds, open something and do run some code on Android, like in the background all the time. And that was really new. Like there was no like iOS. I don't even think iOS has that right now. So on Android you could do that like since the beginning, and that was really cool. So I was like, okay. What's a use case that I have every day? Because the first thing you do when you arrive in the US is that you learn about Craigslist. Craigslist is the best thing ever.
It's amazing, right? Like we don't have any of that because probably someone's going to kill you or you're going to get I mean, it's getting better now, but still.
No, it's insane. Like the Craigslist experience for immigrants is it's incredible, man. Like that was the one that for me was like, wow, this is the best product ever, Craigslist, and
yeah, so simple, just Tax Times New Roman as the font, but it works really well. And then also, I remember in the beginning, I had no money at all, and I moved here, didn't know anyone, and I was shocked with the amount of things Americans would just throw out in the trash. They were like perfectly fine things. So my first entire kitchen, it was out of other people's trash. Like I moved to Colorado Boulder. It was basically a college town, and I was living in this neighborhood called The Hill. And I got there. I rented a horrible apartment. It was horrible to the point that when my mom came to visit me, she cried a little bit when she saw like the state of like the horrible studio I used to live. I was sad. I was like, wow, didn't want to make you cry, Mom. But then I was when the semesters would change and you would see what people were throwing out perfectly good things. So my first apartment came mostly from the trash. Very, very glamorous, you know. It's
Yeah.
the
Uh,
anyway. So you're saying that your use case for Android as you were
yeah.
building the application, it was regarding Craigslist and
Yeah, the biggest pattern in Craigslist that you find yourself like refreshing Craigslist all the time because you want a deal or you want an apartment or you want like something like that. So for me, it was such a big use case because my use case was I'm a good tennis player, but I'm not great. And at that time, like I didn't have money to buy like the Nadal tennis racket that was like $200. So in my mind, it's like, okay, I don't deserve paying $200 on a tennis racket, but if it was like 80, then I'll buy it for 80, right? Like so, but you can on Craigslist you can get all the kinds of deals, but you just need to wait. So I created this app that you can just say, oh, tennis racket Nadal for 80, notify me right away, otherwise you lose the deal. So then the app would just notify me, and I got the tennis racket, and I was like, oh, this could actually be useful for other people. Then I launched on the Google Play. I didn't even have a phone at the time. Was like Google had this insane. I felt like paying $500 for a phone was ridiculous at the time. I was like, why would I ever pay that much money for a phone ever? And I love my Nokia 6550 or something. I had that mentality. I didn't really care about iPhone. I didn't really care about anything. I was not gonna buy an Android phone. But then I launched this app and I started having a lot of users, and then but I was still like, I'm never gonna buy a phone that costs $500. But then Google sends me a free phone. Like that was like that was the thing that I was like, okay, now I love this phone. I love everything about phones. Yeah. And then at the time, it was so clear in my mind that the future would have to be, look, these are my interests. Notify me when these interests are met, exactly when I need it. Don't bother me like that. For me, that was future of search. So I'm searching for this. When my criteria is met, like tell me. I don't think there is any product like that yet, but I'll keep my eye on that. I still
yes.
think that's big.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So you've it's almost as if Craigslist is basically an open protocol in a way within like that whole. I love that image that maybe we can put that after in the post production, but just that image where you have Craigslist and all these like 10 different decacorns that are disrupting specific aspects of it. But there is a part of it as almost you can say that Craigslist is SMTP for life in a way. As a metaphor for like everything that moves around in your life, physical objects or things you got to do or buy or meet people and so forth. And the founder, he's a billionaire, and is a very low profile billionaire, and it's impressive that the product is still so great and so shitty at the same time. Right? Like if you think about it.
They launch an app these days, I think. They just launched an app finally this year or last year. But,
and their competitors that are all unicorns, OfferUp or ThreadUp and so forth, like they don't do that much different. Like it's not that different. Same goes for, I guess, aspects of Facebook Marketplace and so forth. It's just oftentimes the best ideas, I think the best startup ideas are extremely simple for recurring needs that any human has. I think similar to what you have in any everyone has to eat. So I guess there's that. But then